Hello, everyone. Welcome to Voice Vulnerabilities. For those of you who don't know, this podcast was made to create a safe space for people to share their struggles and experiences to open up more discussions about mental health. And today I have someone who will be voicing her own vulnerabilities and sharing her own story. Her name is Julia. She studies media and information in UFA, and she wrote here in her bio that she would really love to become a journalist in the future. I'm so glad she reached out to me to be on here because it really does take courage to be willing to share this. So Julia, you can take it up from here whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so hello. Yeah, as you said, I'm studying media and information. I'd really like to be a journalist one day, but definitely not strictly sticking to that, maybe looking at other options as well. And I wanted to come on here because I feel like mental health is still quite a taboo topic that not a lot of people are open about, which is totally okay. Because as you said, it does take quite a bit of courage and it is being vulnerable. But I feel that if more people talk about it, more people can become more open about their experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you about how you're doing with the pandemic and what's been going on in your life.
Yeah. Well, not much has been going on, honestly. The biggest thing is that I guess I moved to Amsterdam during all of this.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, everything has been online. So coping with that and sort of finding a balance between school and, you know, self-care and extracurriculars has been a journey. But yeah, I think I'm doing pretty okay.
Okay. So I wanted to ask how your journey started, how you realized when you had been struggling with mental health.
Yeah, so it started about like 3, 4 years ago. I was back in high school and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was going through like sort of depressive symptoms.
Mm.
Um, and I struggled a lot with that because I didn't know I was struggling with depressive symptoms or depression per se. Um, I just sort of discarded it as, oh, it's just some sort of weird mental state. I'll get over it, things like that. And I pushed myself down that rabbit hole, I guess, by not talking about it as well. Um, so then later on, whilst pushing it down and sort of disregarding it, dismissing it, um, it reached a point where I got so anxious and so depressed that I just had to like get help. Um, so then, I talked to my parents and friends about how I've been feeling for, about 2 years at that time it was. Um, and it was quite difficult opening up because, again, I haven't had friends opening up about their experiences, or my parents haven't been really talking about it. So it was sort of like I was the first person to really open up in my environment about how they're feeling um, with, yeah, depression and anxiety. And so I decided to go to a therapist to talk about it. And I was diagnosed with dysthymia, which is like a form of long-term depression. Um, it affects your mood mostly, how you like, it affects your relationships, how you work. Um, so like any other, I guess, mental illness. Um, yeah,
Mhm.
so that's how it kind of started, I guess. And then since then, it's been going on medication to a different kind of medication, finding the right ones, and therapy and things like that.
Yeah, must have been really difficult, as you said, to open up when people around you aren't that open about mental health. And yeah, it must have taken a lot of courage. Could you maybe give an example, maybe for the listeners to understand more about how you really feel, maybe day to day when you're having maybe a tougher time?
Yeah. So essentially, now I know how to cope with it a lot more. But when, you know, I'm not having a really good day, then it's just feeling really unmotivated. And, you don't want to even get up in the morning and do work. You should, but then you feel guilty about it, that you're just not doing much. And um, it's sort of not doing the rational thing of, for example, reaching out or getting up and going for a walk, um, because you just need, I guess, maybe a day off to give in a sense, because you just don't have energy or the motivation to, pick yourself up sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
And you said when you said that your friends never really opened up about the mental health experience, I wonder how do you get support from your surroundings now with everything going on? Were they accepting and understanding?
Yeah. Well, it was quite a struggle for me because I was also in the midst of switching schools, high school at that time. So the friends in, for example, my old high school were really not understanding, and not not that they were judgmental, but they just simply just did not get it, why I was feeling the way I was. Um, and they didn't understand the symptoms and how I could be feeling. But then when I switched to a new school, then I would say the people were a lot more mature about it and a lot more understanding and knew more about the topic, um, which is why I felt more accepted, but also why I felt so alienated in my old environment, because not only did they not talk about it, but they did not experience it themselves. Um, and they didn't hear about it from other people. So it was really alienating, and lonely at times as well.
Hmm. I can imagine that, yeah, not having people around you truly understand because I can also understand in my perspective because there are people who would try to give words of encouragement, but because they didn't experience it themselves, it's really hard to pin down what you need to say and how you can support the others because as you said, they don't know how you truly feel when you're struggling with this. But yeah, so you said that you did get a therapist, which is great. So is the system then good with mental health care where you are?
Um, well, it was quite different for me because I first started having a therapist in Poland, from my home country.
Okay.
And then I moved here to Amsterdam, where the health, where I experienced that therapy is a bit different. Maybe it's just my experience like that, but back in Poland, it was a lot more maybe casual. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it definitely was more of a casual relationship between the therapist and me, and more sort of giving advice or less analytical, or for example, my mental states. Whereas here in Amsterdam, it's a lot more, yeah, analytical and more professional, I would say,
Hmm.
which I like a lot more. Um,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. So your therapy is going okay? Is it online now then? Okay.
It's a person for
Oh, it's
now.
in person. Okay. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Um, so you did mention that you did develop some like coping mechanisms for your mental health struggle. Do you have any examples?
Sure. Um, I must say that, at the beginning, whenever a therapist or a friend would tell me, oh, just go for a walk or meditate or do some exercise, I'd always dismiss it and be like, oh, that's not going to help. Come on. I would, I would take that sort of attitude and perspective. But in the end, it is just about finding what is right for you, and not, for example, exercising is just doesn't make me feel better. But yeah, it was quite a journey of finding what is right for me. So what I really like to do is write a journal and meditate. It's been so helpful for me.